Today, dive into high seas adventure in an exclusive look at Disney Cruise Line. In this hour, we're taking you behind the scenes for an insider's look at these impressive vessels. Hear how Walt Disney himself influenced Disney's entree into the cruise business.
If you can dream it, you can do it, was the mantra that he embraced.
Learn what inspired their ship's design.
Wow. Wow, it's beautiful.
And watch the construction technique that built the fleet.
You have to build a whole city by itself.
Go backstage for a look at the ship's inner workings and operations.
Hello, dude. What's your name?
And learn what creative technology is incorporated to take storytelling to a whole new level.
As you walk through our ships, things happen.
It's easy.
And what innovations were never before seen at sea. Find out what's different about their staterooms, dining, and entertainment. And how they designed the first water coaster that actually extends over the ocean.
It was awesome.
Journey to Disney's private Caribbean island and explore the ways they made it their own.
All right, Mickey, thank you.
Experience Disney Cruise Line on a whole new level.
Welcome aboard, everyone.
As we take you behind the magic.
There should be something built, some kind of an amusement enterprise built where the parents and the children could have fun together.
Walt Disney famously made good on his wish to provide a place for family fun in 1955 with the opening of Disneyland. And in the decades since, Disney has been continuing Walt's legacy at their parks, resorts, and on Disney Cruise Lines.
For so many people, for so many families, the Disney story goes back years and years and years. And it's about happy times. It's about memorable times. And bringing that to our theme parks, bringing that to our cruise ships is what Disney is all about.
4 innovative ships in the Disney fleet sail around the world, from Alaska to the Caribbean, Bahamas, and several destinations in Europe. And each ship is specially designed to take the Disney storytelling experience they've developed on land out to sea.
The Disney cruise business takes and capitalizes on everything that sets Disney apart. All our great stories and characters, innovation at every turn.
I knew that it would be awesome for my daughter, you know, because she loves Disney. She loves all the cartoons. She watches the characters.
Nobody does entertainment like Disney. We're an entertainment company known around the world, and when we bring that experience here on board the ship, there is something for absolutely everyone on board.
Disney Cruise is great for the whole family. It's full of a lot of fun things to do for everyone, and it appeals to everyone from a 9-year-old to a 60-year-old to an 18-month-old.
For Disney, part of keeping the guest experience untarnished is making sure everything is sparkling clean and running smoothly. So, before any cruise hits the high seas, the crew is busy making sure everything is, you know, shipshape. They only have a few hours between the time one set of passengers leave and the next group comes aboard, so the work is fast and furious.
Embarkation Day is a huge day for Disney Cruise Line and for the ship. When you think of the amount of 18-wheelers that arrived, supply us with all of our provisions that we need. We'll clean 10,000 towels on this day, over 5,000 sheets, 1,200 duvets that all get cleaned, folded, and pressed for our guests, and not to mention the hundreds of gallons of ice cream that come on board. A huge amount of supplies to embark all of our guests and make them comfortable throughout the course of their voyage.
This is also the time everything is charted and prepared from a nautical perspective.
The process of leaving port actually starts not just with your everyday things like you make sure you've got enough fuel on board, lube oil on board, water on board and stores, but then the process of actually getting ready for leaving the port will maybe take a couple of hours. The first thing we do is start checking, obviously, the normal safety gear, such as your steering gear and your control systems. One of the last things we do is start up some other engines. Normally, we'll only have one engine on while we're in port because we only need one engine for the amount of power that we're using. But when we're ready to go, we have 3 engines available, and then we'll start the main propulsion motors and hand over the control of those motors to the bridge for their operation.
Welcome. We are very glad you're here, and we know you're going to have a great time.
Yeah, thank you. I can't stop smiling.
You can't stop smiling. Why not?
They're excited.
Because you're super excited.
1, 2, 3. Thank you.
You got the jitters?
Yes.
That's our room number, and it's ready for us. Please welcome aboard the Renander family.
One of the signatures of Disney is what happens when you come on board the ship.
Please welcome aboard the Tari Franca family.
We announce your arrival to the rest of the people that are already on the ship.
Welcome aboard, everyone.
Once everything is ready to set sail, the cruise kicks off with a sail-away party featuring familiar characters.
You arrived on board the ship. The journey is about to start, and so we figured that we'd put together a really nice party with Mickey and Minnie, where they really have a chance not only to celebrate the departure, but also give the guests an interlude as to what they're going to be seeing on that cruise.
Characters are core to what people expect of Disney. Everyone has a favorite Disney character.
Peter Pan and Captain Hook.
That's a pirate.
Minnie, Mickey, Donald, and Pluto.
I want to meet Minnie Mouse.
There's you. Do you want her to sign it again? Yes.
When you take a look at the character interactions on board our ships, we pay great attention to those. It's our industrial engineers taking a look at what's the right timing, what's the right staffing, how do we make this line go in a fashion that is efficient and moves quickly. That's the technical side of characters. There's also the side of the characters that touches the heart. Those memories just endure. They just endure.
And as the ship sets sail, the journey begins in more ways than one.
As we were designing the spaces, we knew that we had a captain's audience for 3 to 5 days and possibly even 7. And we wanted to create a level of detail for each day that the guests traveled throughout the ship, that there was a sense of discovery and they always noticed something new throughout their stay.
And we're taking that journey of discovery, uncovering those details specifically developed for this fleet. Coming up, travel back in time to find out how passion for the sea was rooted in Walt Disney himself and how the Disney cruise business was born.
We see it in our theme parks, but it didn't exist at sea.
Hear the story behind the ship's design, inside and out. And watch as the first ship in the Disney Cruise Line fleet, the Disney Magic, comes together. America. When Walt Disney created his legendary mouse, he unknowingly founded a giant that would last generations. And it's all rooted in a simple premise.
If you can dream it, you can do it, was the mantra that he absolutely embraced. He had a vision of what he wanted to accomplish, and he went after it.
Walt loved the excitement and romance of nautical adventures, even spending his honeymoon at sea. So he incorporated that lore into several of his productions. In fact, Life Offshore was the basis of Mickey's first sound film, Steamboat Willie. So it makes sense that Disney eventually extended to cruise ships. And because they understand the operations behind accommodating millions of families in their resorts, they went after that niche where they had plenty of experience.
When you enter the cruise line industry as we did, we didn't want to be the same as the other cruise lines because we need to distinguish ourselves.
Hello, dude.
So we started brainstorming and said, what do we want to be when we grow up? And what we want to be is a family cruise line.
Family cruising did not exist at the point in time that we entered in this business. And so creating that experience was something that was a clear opportunity. You know, we see it in our theme parks, but it didn't exist at sea.
Once the business concept was a go, the first task was to tackle the look of the fleet, a very important step since Disney is rooted in imagery.
There were some interesting ideas that were thrown out there, some as crazy and wacky as a floating island, a floating amusement park. And at the time, it was Michael Eisner who was in charge of the company. So Michael said, let's look at the classic sailing ships. just looking at it evoked this sense of romance and adventure, and that you just walking up to, you go, I am going to have an experience here. And that's what we do, whether it's a movie or a theme park, setting up a mood, setting up a story that immediately connects.
A big part of creating that classic-style ocean liner is getting the right silhouette.
In the old days, the ships had more than one funnel because the engine room was basically from the back to the front of the ship. So every set of boilers needed an exhaust pipe. Modern ships don't need it anymore. The engine room is pretty much confined to one area of the ship, and they all come together to one funnel. So during the design process, we landed on two big funnels, just to make the ship look even more beautiful than it is already.
Since only one funnel is used for exhaust, the second funnel space has been put to use. Like with the Teen Club Vibe on the Disney Magic. And the final layer to the ship's design was choosing the perfect palette.
The primary, big, kind of subliminal, but really in your face when you look at it, are the Mickey colors. We actually created a color for the hull of the ship that wasn't black, because black is a dead color. We want to get enough blue in there. And then the red and the white, but the key element was getting the yellow for Mickey's shoes. We chose to make the lifeboats in this yellow. Now, the Coast Guard had very strict rules about what color lifeboats had to be. So we actually had to go to the Coast Guard and get a special clearance to use this yellow. So now it's Disney, but it still works in the grander idea of these classic sailing ships.
With the design set, construction of their first ship, the Disney Magic, could begin at a shipyard in Italy.
So when you first come to Venice, where the shipyard is, and you walk in and you go, my God, this is huge. And then you see our ship being built from block to block, from piece to piece. It's just awesome.
Because of the scale, the ship needed to be built in two halves, 100 miles away from each other at two different shipyards.
When you start thinking about designing and building a cruise ship, is that you're away from land. So you're self-contained, so you have to build a whole city by itself. You need to create your own water, your electricity, your air conditioning. So we have to create all that on board.
Finally, after 6 months of work, the time had come when each half sailed towards the moment of truth. Would they fit perfectly together to create one seamless vessel?
When you see them come together, it's a nerve-wracking moment. It's not only just the steel, but imagine all the beams, the pipes, the air conditioning ducting, and then the cabins that have to perfectly match. And it came closer and closer and closer and closer, and then we're like, okay, well, will it fit, will it fit, will it fit? And then when it came together, it was millimeters, tenths of inches. It was perfect. Then the guys came in, started welding it together, and it became the Disney Magic.
Once the shells came together, all the creative ways to immerse the guests into the world of Disney could be added inside, which is the job of the Imagineers.
The Walt Disney Imagineering's kind of like three groups of people. You have our creative department, which takes these wonderful blue sky ideas. Then you have our facility group, who starts to build it. And the show group, who actually takes and adds the lighting and the life to that big facility to create this big entertainment environment.
And in the case of bringing creative ideas to a cruise ship, there are specific things to consider.
We obviously try to use a lot of our parks as inspiration, but obviously the ship is only so large. So it's always a continuous challenge to try and bring as much entertainment and fun to our guests inside of the ship.
I could fill up a room to the top of the ceiling with just drawings, mock-ups. And working with the shipyard was very interesting because we are an entertainment company, and taking that and putting it on a ship is something that they had never done before. A lot of things that were very new to the cruise industry.
In July 1998, the Disney Magic took its maiden voyage. And shortly thereafter, its sister, the Disney Wonder, was built. But the Imagineers' work is never done. Part of Disney's success is their ability to continually evolve. So in 2011 and 2012, the Disney Dream and her sister, the Disney Fantasy, set sail, entertaining up to 4,000 guests with a new set of bells and whistles.
We've had great success with Disney Cruise Line since it was originally launched. And with that success, it only became natural that we would continue to look at how we could write the next chapter of this business. And the dream and the fantasy are the perfect next chapter.
The dream and fantasy stand 14 decks high and are longer than the Eiffel Tower is tall. And coming up, we're exploring what goes into these 130,000-ton ships, from the ship layout to inside the engine room. Discover the cool technology that takes it all to a new level.
We provide the power for the bridge to operate.
And what innovations were firsts in the cruise business.
We wanted to do something different that no one else could do.
All as we head toward an island Disney calls its own.
Science.
Since the late 1990s, Disney Cruise Line has been sailing all over the world, most recently on the Disney Dream and Fantasy. As guests come on board, they enter the atrium, which spans 3 decks.
So much of what makes Disney great is a timeless quality. So we chose 2 design idioms, Art Deco and Art Nouveau. We wanted the atrium to be a grand space, but not an intimidating space, to make you go in and say, hey, this is going to be something special.
Wow. Wow, it's beautiful. I was not really sure what a Disney cruise would entail, and I love luxury hotel properties, and it has that feel.
But then we wanted to add those Disney elements, but in a way that was elegant but whimsical. It's got to be in a way that each time you look at it, it may surprise you a little more because you're going to be finding things that aren't just blatantly out there.
The interior of the ship has several restaurants, shops, and 2 theaters. One for movies and one for stage shows. Plus, there are separate areas for every age group.
The nice thing about our ships is that they're really built with every member of the family in mind. So we don't build ships for little kids. We build ships for the whole family.
Since serving families is a Disney priority, something had to be done about traditionally cramped staterooms. The solution? Making the rooms larger and filling them with features unheard of in the cruise business, like raised beds for extra storage beneath.
And of course, only for Disney Cruise Line and unique in the industry are those 2 spaces that are actually 2 split bathrooms. One is going to be for the family to have a child in the bath, and the other one can be used for privacy and comfort and have more efficiency when it's time to enjoy the ship.
And to make more use of the space, there are beds tucked away to come out at night.
To accommodate our larger family, we have our upper bunk bed that is ready, as you see in a few seconds, always made by your stateroom host. And of course, when the child comes and have a nice sleep night, you can see the star in the sky.
Look, this is great. There are a variety of different staterooms on the ship. And at the top of the heap are the Walt and Roy Disney Suites that are all about luxury.
They are very, very special. From the amenities to the woodwork. They have their own private deck and just beautifully appointed that just gives that air of elegance to the guests that are staying in those special places.
There is one more stateroom innovation that addresses the challenge Disney faced with the windowless interior rooms.
The concept for magic portholes came out of a simple question that somebody had in a meeting. We said, gee, why don't we pipe video into the inside stateroom and frame it as a porthole, and you can see outside. But we wanted to do something different that no one else could do, which is let's blend our Disney characters in with that image.
Magical characters can also be found on the walls. Disney celebrates its animation roots by featuring unique Disney art around the ships. And some may take you by surprise.
Sometimes a guest will walk by a piece of art and not realize that it's enchanted. So all of a sudden, this artwork comes to life.
What we're doing is we add elements of magic. So as you walk through our ships, through a lot of technology and innovation, things happen. The ship itself is a character. It can be just the guest and the ship itself will play with them and wink at them.
It's easy.
While technology helps to keep guests entertained, it also plays a big role in smooth sailing.
The bridge is the command center of the ship, so all safety, security functions, as well as navigation, is handled from the bridge. Right now we are on the bridge wing, as we call it, and as you can see, the reason why we call it a wing is because it sticks out from the side of the ship. The reason why we have this is so we can see the flat side of the ship when we are docking. We're the third longest ship in the cruise industry today, and we're also very large, so it is quite a challenge to maneuver the ship, although she maneuvers extremely well. We can combine the main propulsion thrusters and rudders into one joystick configuration, which moves basically with one finger.
The center of the bridge houses all the instrumentation for sailing: communication, GPS navigation, and radar showing weather and land.
Now we're coming to one of the absolutely most important instruments on the bridge. This is the control panel for our Mickey horns. On this ship, we have 7 different tunes on our Mickey, what we call Mickey whistles.
And this all works in conjunction with the engine room at the bottom of the ship.
We provide the power and we provide the machinery for the bridge to operate. We have 2 main propulsion propellers, and then, of course, we have 5 thruster propellers. The propellers we have on Disney Dream, they're about 20 tons each, and they're somewhere in the region of about 18 feet in diameter. One of the things that we're obviously concerned more about than anything else is the comfort of our guests. The stability of the ship is obviously absolutely crucial. We have what they call active fin stabilizers, and when we get to sea, they actually swing out and then start to operate. So any movement of the ship is then corrected. They're generally regarded as reducing the roll of the ship through sea by about 90 degrees.
While ships have gone incredibly high-tech, it still takes manpower to bring all the operations together.
The entire crew, we have almost 1,500 crew members from about 62 different nations. Every single crew member is a very important person. We're all connected, and we all need to work together.
Plenty needs to happen behind the scenes for the crew to accommodate thousands of guests, which includes keeping them fed. Coming up, see how the galley keeps up and find out what dining feature is the first of its kind.
I'm going to be your server until the end of the cruise.
And explore the ways Disney put their touch on entertainment for both kids and adults.
Hello, dude.
A major part of any cruise experience is the food. And to serve 3 meals a day for all these passengers and crew is a tall order.
We're looking at closer to 20,000 meals a day that is served on Disney Dream and Disney Fantasy. So that gives you a good idea of the size of the operation.
That operation runs round the clock and consists of 7 galleys staffed with 168 cooks and pastry chefs, and a lot of groceries.
15,000 pounds of fresh vegetables, 12 to 14,000 pounds of fruits. The amount of beef tenderloin which we serve during one cruise is 4,500 pounds. Right now we're making 500 appetizer. So here's the fresh escargot, and around about we have 600 portions to prep during the day. Right now, I just want to show you the massive boiler which we have in the galleys. This one is the basic chicken stock which we cook overnight. Here we have some sauce, and the next spot for tonight we have the potato gratin which we finish as well fresh on a daily basis for our guests.
There are several different ways guests can get to all this grub. By the pools, you'll find quick service and a complimentary drink station. Plus, there's 24-hour complimentary room service, a buffet, and fine adults-only dining. And in the family restaurants, Disney wanted to change the traditional service model.
Rotational dining, which is unique to Disney Cruise Line, allows our guests to enjoy dinner in a different restaurant each and every night. The best part of it is, as they do move from restaurant to restaurant.
How are you doing, sir? Good?
Excellent. Their service team follows with them.
My name is Bruno, and I'm going to be your server until the end of the cruise.
How was the first day?
Great day.
Here I am again. One more night with me.
So they get to know their guests and, of course, provide personalized service.
Frank?
Thank you, sir. We get to see him for breakfast. We get to see him for dinner. They're waiting for us when we come in.
We're going to have the bread for tonight, which is going to be the French brioche, and we've got the black olive spread, the dipping for tonight.
Great service.
Okay, thank you very much.
Besides service, Disney also honed in on atmosphere. Thanks to the Imagineers, each of the family restaurants has a storyline.
They're very immersive, take you to a wonderful place, and the whole experience is one that feels like a fantasy come to life.
Animator's Palette is our signature restaurant on the ships. This is all about animation, and this is the core of the Disney experience.
On the Disney Magic and Wonder, Animator's Palette starts in black and white, but throughout dinner comes to life in full color. And on the Disney Dream and Fantasy, there's something called Undersea Magic, featuring Crush from Finding Nemo.
Totally awesome. We took an entertainment system we had developed for the park for a much smaller group, and we said, okay, what can we do in a 700-seat restaurant? You know, how can we have Crush come and visit you, and how can we have a lot of that interaction?
Hello, dude. What's your name?
The big challenge is that they serve food in a restaurant, and so the show cannot get in the way. So we spent a good 2 years working out the choreography.
Where are you from, dude?
Atlanta.
Atlanta? All the way from the Georgia. Totally awesome.
On the Disney Fantasy, this restaurant added one more animation feature. Guests can draw on a special placemat and watch their creation come to life.
It actually can dance, it moves around, it walks.
Making mealtime fun is all part of the onboard entertainment. And when it comes to the rest of the ship, Disney is specific about their approach.
So when Disney Cruise Line went into cruising, it was really important for them to find a way to really provide an experience for the entire family. Entertainment, activities and spaces around the ship that catered for the adults, for the children, but also for the family.
Disney offers one of the most extensive dedicated kids programs in the cruise business, with distinct spaces for toddlers, kids, tweens, and teens.
We had to bring in all the architects that were assigned to designing the kids' spaces. And then we go through the whole design process. That's when we start getting into details and drawings. And an amazing tool that we always use is 3D rendering, so we can make sure that everything looks right, really create that story.
Part of making it feel right was lowering the ceilings to make kids feel taller and immersing them in the stories they know and love.
We really wanted to bring them into the environments and let them play with their favorite characters, so they felt engaged and they felt part of the story.
Exploring innovative technology was another big part of the design process.
We created a lot of new technology on the ship, things that didn't exist before. We have the Magic Play Floor, and this was something that we developed completely in-house. It's a big interactive floor. We have Lilo and Stitch that come to visit in the kids' clubs through this big 103-inch monitor.
My favorite thing was there's this simulator where you can choose a boat and you can like drive it out of the dock and drive it to your location, and it's cool.
And Disney hasn't forgotten about the adults. While the kids are having fun, they can retreat to the spa for tranquil relaxation or live it up at several different bars and nightclubs, ranging from sports pubs to dance floors.
I proposed to my soon-to-be new wife here, and after we proposed, we went to a nightclub here on the ship.
So much fun for adults.
And even though these spaces are meant for grown-ups, the Imagineers still added their creative touch.
Every detail is important. We spare no expense. We look at everything from the door hardware to the wall finishes to the carpet on the floor. Just try and weave the story together throughout the entire space. Pink was inspired by this whole notion of the elephant in Fantasia. We wanted to create a small, intimate setting that is inspired by the opening of champagne bottles. And these are all these 350 hand-blown glass bubbles out of Murano, Italy. If you're sitting at the Skyline Lounge Bar, we created this sort of panoramic view of a great skyline like Chicago. The music would change and then another city would show up. Maybe it's New York. And then we took it a step further and we created a drink menu that was inspired by each one of those cities. And then we had what we call enchanted artwork, which changed with the music in the different cities.
One area for the whole family is the pool. Coming up, take a tour of the decks and take a ride on the only water coaster at sea.
It's just an amazing engineering feat.
Learn the story of its creation and what makes it so unique.
Right now we're on the Walt Disney Theater stage.
Plus, go behind the scenes to get the inside scoop on their stage shows. Then see what thrilling feature was the first of its kind. Discovery. Sailing in warm weather means time to hang out on deck at the pool. On Disney Cruise Line, the decks extend the length of the ship. And as you travel around, you'll see they're essentially laid out in zones. Disney wanted to have multiple water areas serving specific needs rather than just one big pool. So there's the kid pool with a water slide and a splash of Mickey. An adult pool that's all about quiet relaxation. And a private pool deck for teens.
I have 19 people on the cruise with me right now, and so it's definitely good to escape and come here.
Plus, there's a family pool where everyone can watch their favorite Disney films on a larger-than-life screen.
Our funnel vision we have on all of our ships. It's 35 meters wide, 25 meters high. It's got over 370 panels across the vision. There's 1.5 million pixels. Our guests enjoy watching the funnel vision day or night. It's got a fantastic screen, a great image, and they can view it from very close up and very far away.
But the crown jewel on the top deck is the only water coaster found at sea.
The best thing about the cruise is the slide.
I really want to go on the water slide. We are so trying the water slide.
The aqueduct is 2.5 football fields long and 4.5 stories high. 10,000 gallons of water per minute jet through the slide, which at one point sails 12 feet over the side of the ship. Look down at that point to see the ocean 150 feet below.
What happened in this design process is at first we were going to do a lazy river built into the deck of the ship, but we found that it was taking a lot of walking space, and there was a lot of technical challenges, because we don't have ground to dig in. So we said, why don't we elevate that? Literally, the architects and engineers took golf tees and they placed them around the ship, and then they took some clear tubing and they taped it to those pieces of golf tees until they made this basic path of the ship. And of course, Disney, wanting to plus everything up, the first thing is, well, what can we do to make it thrilling? Why don't we make it go over the side of the ship? So immediately somebody twisted that tubing and made a loop, partially hanging over the side of the ship.
To me, this is probably one of the best things. I was waving like, hey! It was great, especially the part where you get over the side and the momentum starts to build on the side. It was so much fun. It was awesome.
Building the aqueduct on land would have been a pretty easy experience, but on a ship, it's not as stable as one might think. It's actually very dynamic, and the larger the ship is, the more that ship will have slight torsion or twisting movements and what they call hogging and sagging, where the ship actually raises and lowers. And then, of course, being made out of metal, it also expands and contracts depending on the temperature. The vibration of the engines on a ship create natural frequencies that we have to build structures to withstand those frequencies. So we had to take all these things into consideration. And of course, balancing that load, because all of this stuff's way high up in the ship, so it raises the center of gravity. It's just amazing engineering feat.
As you may expect from Disney, movies are a featured attraction on board. And being tied to a studio has its benefits. They're the first to show onboard movies in digital 3D, and the only cruise line where films premiere the same day they come out in theaters. And the stage is in full swing with live Broadway-style performances.
These theaters are truly remarkable because from a decor perspective, they really are luxurious venues that you might find in the West End of London or on Broadway in New York, but behind the beautiful facades, they're absolutely state-of-the-art.
That's what I'm talking about. Before any production hits the stage, they go through 2.5 years of development.
We live by this philosophy of There's no experience too small not to be excellent. And so whatever it is we create, we're obsessed with the story that it's trying to tell. We're obsessed with the detail within the story. And I think that's kind of what sets us apart from anybody else.
90% of the success of our endeavors is just the casting of the creative team. And what that means is always having an eye out for some of the best talent in the industry.
We go to Toronto, where we have a rehearsal studio, and we have a complete cast up there who rehearses it, and then we deliver it to the ship.
We have the unique challenge of having, a singular cast who are performing up to 5 repertory shows at any given time. And one of the most important things I think you have to remember about the ship is that every day we're performing a major stage show at least twice a day, and then the crew are flipping over the set every night so that the next day we can have another experience with our stage shows. And that's remarkable how it is such an incredible machine.
Right now we're on the Walt Disney Theater stage. If we walk around, you can kind of see in the wings that there's not a whole lot of space. So we put set pieces everywhere that we can to make it all fit. Below us in the trap room, or up in the air, or in our scene dock at the back of the stage. And you can see on the floor we have all these tracks that keep everything secured. Since we're on a ship and the theater moves, we have to keep the stuff either knifed into the floor or pinned down so that it doesn't take off on us while we're performing the show.
Another bit of stage magic happens on deck, when the pools close up to make space on deck for the pirate party, where guests really get into the Buccaneer spirit. And the show culminates with an explosive finale.
We're very proud to have, and have been for many years, the only company that have fireworks at sea. It took a lot of work because obviously safety is paramount for us at sea. Also to have the right controls in place, and we got permission from the right regulatory boards to have it. We shoot all food-based products, so it goes into the ocean, it can be ate by the fish, so there's nothing left over, no residual, so it's completely environmentally friendly.
We have almost 200 shots during the show. It's loaded first thing in the morning. We've made sure the ship's in the correct location, the wind's blowing in the right direction before we fire any of the fireworks up on deck.
If all this takes place while sailing in the Caribbean, one of the stops is Disney's 1,000-acre Bahamian island, Castaway Cay. Coming up, go ashore to see what there is to discover there, on the beach and out in the water. Check out all the ways Disney has added their signature touch in paradise, and discover what's special about just stepping off the ship. When Disney decided to sail into the cruise business, they wanted one of their ports of call to be an exclusive destination. So they zeroed in on the Caribbean and started island shopping.
There's quite a few islands down in the Bahamas. And so we did the search and we came up, we found it was called Gorda Cay. We renamed it Castaway Cay, but it had a couple attributes that just sold it immediately. The main one being this beautiful half-moon bay that had a natural breakwater.
The other attribute was that it was possible to dredge the area surrounding the island, making it deep enough to build a pier. This allowed Disney to become the only cruise line to dock right up to the beach, rather than tendering guests in.
When we arrive at Castaway Cay and you go up on the upper deck, you can look out, you see the beach, you see the lagoon, you know what's waiting for you there.
Castaway Cay now has full-time residents whose job it is to keep the island running and ready for guests.
To provide a great experience to our guests, it takes a team of about 110 crew members to get the island ready for the arrival of the ships.
Once supplies are offloaded and guests go ashore, the island philosophy mirrors that of the ship. Different areas for different age groups. From toddler and family areas on the beach.
Whoa, look at that.
To play structures like Pelican Plunge out in the lagoon. To quiet zones for adults. And for those who want their very own space.
The cabanas are luxury retreats. They have fabulous teak furniture, big cushions, there's a sofa inside. You can close the doors if you want for some added privacy.
All right, Mickey, thank you.
While walking around the island, you'll bump into lots of familiar faces.
I saw Donald and Captain Hook and Smee.
And some characters are even hiding underwater. But overall, the development idea was to create an atmosphere with only a light Disney touch.
In the end, we wanted to keep the choice of materials and colors very harmonious with the natural beauty of the island. So it's a very calming, relaxing experience.
One interactive experience is the chance to get up close and personal with some of the locals at Stingray Adventure.
We currently house 58 southern stingrays in our lagoon. They get excellent animal care. All of our rays are actually trained to swim into what we call interaction stations, and they target on a Mickey shape. How we have our guests feed is they put their hand flat on the Mickey shape with a piece of food in between our fingers. Rays are trained to swim right over their hand, eat the food right out of it. We actually feed out something called shrimp, squid, and stingray jello, which includes its own nutrients and minerals. Our program is completely safe. All of our rays have their barbs trimmed. It does not harm them at all. It's basically like trimming a fingernail, just like you would on your toes or your fingers.
Besides all the activities here, behind the scenes, Castaway Cay is truly an island unto itself.
In order to provide all the necessary services for our guests, Castaway Cay needs to be very independent. We are able to produce our own electricity, water, we have wastewater treatment.
They've even developed their own fuel.
Gunter, our island director, created this special biofuel where we take the oils from the ship and we actually combine them to run ag vehicles.
And since this is part of the Bahamas, the island is able to have a government-run post office for postcards.
There is a postage mark that actually says Castaway Cay on it, so when your friends and family receive the postcard, you get a little piece of paradise right to your front door.
Whether it's on the island
Reducing to 50.
or aboard the ship, Disney is held to world-class standards. And they've taken that fact seriously since the very beginning.
Hi there, folks. You can come right this way.
Give the public everything you can give them. Keep the place as clean as you can keep it. Keep it friendly. Make it a real fun place to be.
Here we go!
We've trained a great cast, an enthusiastic cast that loves being in this business, loves being on these ships, and our guests, when they come on board, notice that right away.
How you doing?
Good. Did you see Mickey's Pirates Party?
Yeah.
Was it super fun?
It's so fun on the cruise.
This is our 10th Disney cruise, and it's easy to summarize that Disney knows how to do it, and they know how to do it right. There's nothing that you ask for that they won't figure out a way how to make you happy.
Hello.
We have friendships with crew.
You wash your shoes.
You become family.
Have a good afternoon now.
You as well.
Bye.
While Disney Cruise Line continues to sail the seas, part of the Disney philosophy is to always keep looking beyond the horizon.
Always evolving, always developing. Frankly, we call it always dreaming. Always asking ourselves, how can we move forward? How can we make it better? We believe that what we do today can be done better in the future. So you always seek to improve. So in the case of Disney Cruise Line, you say to yourself, what can I do on board my ships to keep them fresh, to keep them evolving?
One of the attributes of Imagineering and the Walt Disney Company is that we're always thinking about what's the next great thing. You know, what's that neat technology? What's that great story? How are we going to take those and absolutely surprise and delight our guests?